All right, speaking of tax season, there are some big changes with tax cuts and job acts, and here today to tell us what we need to know is financial expert Michael Terrio. Good morning. Welcome.
Yes,
all right, so you're on the hot seat today.
All right, bring it what you got.
What are some of the biggest changes this year with the tax cuts and the Jobs Act?
Well, this is one of the biggest changes that we've seen in decades. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a huge change. And what we want to try to do is help people become proactive with their tax planning. I know we're only a couple of weeks away from deadlines, but it's still better late than never with this whole thing.
6 days to be exact.
Yeah, so it's time to get some work done.
Yeah,
I can't believe it's already April. But you know, we've seen changes with the tax cuts, tax codes, brackets are changing quite a bit. Deductions are changing. So overall, it's a big revamp. One of the biggest things that we've seen though is just the simplicity of the 1040. It's gone from 79 different lines to 23 different lines.
Boy, that's a help. It's got to be.
Yeah, well, they talked about the postcard deal, and they were able to actually achieve it. But with that, don't be confused. You still have to make sure that when you're adjusting your income for things such as student loan payments or anything that you can deduct, you want to make sure that you're able to find those in the proper schedules and not miss them.
All right, now initially we were hearing people weren't getting as much on their return as in years past. What's the latest on that? What happened there?
You know, the common thing is we saw a lot of deductibility go down within the brackets, but other deductions that people were counting on may have been moved and taken away. What happened though, for a lot of people is they're putting money in from their from their pay stubs every single month. That changed and lowered. So many people say I'm not getting as much money back, but they also didn't put as much money in over that time period of the year. So that may be where some of the discrepancies are.
All right, so would you say that the biggest change from last year's 1040 to this is the 79 lines to 23?
That and the deductibility. So standard deductions, TurboTax came out this last year and said that we're expecting 90% of all people to utilize a standard deduction this year.
Yeah.
And that's because for a single individual, it's $12,000, $24,000 for a married couple, and even higher if you're retired and or blind. So there's a lot of deductibility that's already built into it. It's going to be pretty rare that we see people utilize itemized deductions that can actually go above that.
Right, so what are some of the deductions that are no longer available?
Yeah, so personal exemptions is a big one. So we used to see exemptions every single year in addition to deductibility for the standard deductions. Alimony is no longer deductible, so we're seeing those type of things. And one of the big ones is home equity lines of credit. You know, when people are taking out home equity lines of credit, in the past we've been able to deduct that. Unless you can prove that you significantly improved the property, and that's the property that's being secured by that loan, that is no longer a tax deduction that people were counting on in the past.
Wow.
One big one too, the SALT deduction. New York, New Jersey, California, and Connecticut are seeing a big issue because they're capped as far as their personal property taxes that they can deduct at a $10,000 level, so they may not be able to deduct as much as they have in the past.
Overall, would you say that you know, the overhaul has worked out in people's favor?
I think there's more discretionary income that's happening, and we're seeing that within the GDP. 70% of our GDP is based upon what you and I spend on a day in and day out basis, and having some more free money can be there. But I think it's important for people to take the time to become proactive and realize that tax planning is not just something you do in April.
Right.
It's something that should be happening all year round so you're truly prepared and able to make the most out of the different breaks that are out there.
All right, good point. Michael, good to see you again.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
6 days and counting.